First contact. The hum of the intergalactic trade station was a symphony of languages and deals being made. Jack Turner navigated through the crowd with a practiced ease, his eyes scanning the various stalls for anything unusual, a habit that had made him one of the best traders in this quadrant. At a nondescript stall tucked away in a less traversed corner of the station, Jack's attention was caught by a shimmering object. It seemed to pulse with a light of its own, nestled among mundane galactic artifacts. The vendor, noticing Jack's interest, leaned forward, her antennae twitching with anticipation. "Rare find, isn't it?" she hissed, her voice a mix of eagerness and caution. "Came from the depths of the Grelta system. Not many brave enough to venture there." Jack picked up the artifact, feeling the smooth, cool surface under his fingers. "How much?" he asked, already knowing this piece was more than just a trinket. Before the vendor could reply, a shadow loomed over them. Jack turned to see a tall figure, draped in a dark cloak. The newcomer's face was hidden under a hood, but Jack could sense the stranger's eyes on him. "That is not for sale," the figure spoke with a deep, resonant voice, tinged with an accent Jack couldn't place. "And why is that?" Jack challenged, his interest piqued. The figure stepped closer, lowering their hood. The alien had sharp features, pale blue skin, and eyes that seemed to hold the stars themselves. "Because," she began, her voice now softer, yet carrying an undeniable weight, "that artifact you hold is more dangerous than you can imagine." Jack smirked, used to intimidation tactics. "I deal in the dangerous and the rare. Makes life interesting." The alien glanced around, her gaze sharp and calculating. "Perhaps a more private discussion," she suggested. Jack nodded, and they moved to a secluded corner of the busy station. "My name is Selran," she introduced herself, her eyes never leaving the artifact in Jack's hand. "Jack Turner. So, tell me about this dangerous artifact." Selran looked around once more, ensuring no one was listening. "That is a key of Vorden," she said quietly. "It unlocks something ancient and powerful, something that should have remained lost." Jack's grip on the artifact tightened. The thrill of the unknown tugged at him. "Sounds like a fairy tale," he scoffed. "It is very real, human, and very deadly. It was responsible for the eradication of entire species who misused its power," Selran explained, her tone grave. Jack studied her face, trying to discern if she was merely trying to scare him into giving it up. But there was sincerity there, and fear. "What do you propose, then?" "This is your only chance, human. Act now or regret forever," Selran declared, her gaze intense. "Help me secure it. Keep it away from those who would unleash its power." Jack considered her words, the weight of the decision anchoring his feet to the ground. The station around them buzzed with oblivious activity, countless lives intersecting and diverging in the vast expanse of the galaxy. "All right, Selran," he finally said, offering her a determined nod. "Let's see where this takes us." Together, they plotted their next move, unaware of the eyes that watched them from the shadows. The adventure was just beginning, and Jack knew that whatever lay ahead, it was going to change his life forever. Chapter 2. The Warning. Jack and Selran had relocated to a dimly lit cafe on the upper deck of the trade station. It was quieter here, away from the bustling markets below. The cafe, with its low-hanging lights and secluded booths, provided the perfect cover for confidential conversations. As they settled into a shadowed booth, Jack couldn't help but feel the gravity of the situation tightening around him. "So, this key of Vorden," he started, his voice low, "what exactly does it unlock?" Selran's eyes flickered with a spark of anxiety. "An ancient technology left by the Vordu civilization, capable of manipulating the fabric of time itself. In the wrong hands, it could unravel reality." Jack whistled softly, his mind racing at the implications. And you just happened to stumble upon this information? Not stumbled upon, no. I've been part of a custodial sect that's kept watch over such artifacts. Our sole purpose is to prevent them from causing harm. Before Jack could respond, a man approached their booth. He was rugged, with a stern expression carved into his weathered face. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, though it was clear he wasn't asking. "Carl," Selran acknowledged him with a nod. "This is Jack Turner. Jack, this is Carl, a trusted ally and part of my sect." Carl slid into the booth, his gaze assessing Jack with a mix of curiosity and caution. "Heard you're the new player in our little game," Carl remarked, his voice gruff. "Hope you know what you're signing up for." Jack met Carl's gaze squarely. "I have a knack for surviving the dangerous and the unknown. What's next?" Carl looked at Selran, who gave a subtle nod. He then turned back to Jack. "We need to move the key to a secure location," Carl stated, laying out a star map on the table. He pointed to a remote system. "Here. It's isolated, hard to reach, and not on any major trade routes. And let me guess, you two can't do it alone?" Jack inferred, leaning over the map. "Correct," Selran confirmed. "We've had tails since we left the lower decks. Someone else knows about the key, and they're not just going to let us walk away with it." Jack's eyes narrowed as he studied the map. "So, we're playing a game of keep away in space. Sounds like my kind of challenge." Carl chuckled dryly. "Don't get too excited. The players in this game are deadly, and they don't play by any rules." As they strategized, another figure silently joined the booth. He was younger, with keen eyes and an earnest demeanor. "Everything's ready on the ship, Carl," he reported. "Thanks, Tom," Carl replied, then introduced him to Jack. "Tom's our pilot. Best in the business when it comes to flying under the radar." Tom extended his hand, which Jack shook firmly. "Ready to get this thing where it needs to go?" Jack grinned, his adventurous spirit ignited. "Just lead the way." Together, the team finalized their plans. They would leave at the next cycle, under the cover of the station's busiest hour. The conversation moved to preparations, and Jack found himself drawn into the intricate details of their operation. As they stood to leave, Jack felt the weight of the key in his pocket. Dangerous, powerful, and now his responsibility too. He was in deep, far beyond what he had initially bargained for, but there was no turning back now. "Let's do this," he said, determination flooding his voice. Selran, Carl, and Tom nodded, the group's shared resolve cementing their newfound alliance. The game was on, and together they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Chapter 3. Unlikely Partnership. The air was thick with tension as Jack, Selran, Carl, and Tom navigated through the crowded corridors of the trade station to their docked ship, the Star Whisperer. They moved swiftly, each step measured and cautious, aware of the potential eyes on them. As they boarded the ship, Tom took the lead, heading straight to the cockpit. "I'll get us prepped for a quick departure. Keep an eye out. We don't want any surprises," he said, flipping switches and engaging the engines. Jack followed Carl to the cargo hold, where they secured the key of Vorden in a nondescript container. "It doesn't look like much, does it?" Jack mused, eyeing the small, unassuming object that held such immense power. "It's not the appearance that matters, it's what it can do," Carl responded, his tone serious as he locked the container. "We've lost good people to its curse. We can't let it fall into the wrong hands." Jack nodded, feeling the gravity of the mission. He was about to respond when a sudden jolt shook the ship. "We've got company," Selran's voice crackled over the intercom. Jack and Carl exchanged a quick glance before rushing to the cockpit. As they arrived, Tom pointed to the radar screen displaying several fast-approaching ships. "Bounty hunters," he spat out. "Looks like they caught up quicker than we thought." Carl's eyes narrowed as he surveyed the situation. "Tom, can you get us out of here without drawing more attention?" "Already on it," Tom replied, his fingers dancing over the controls. The Star Whisperer lurched forward, slipping out of the dock and into the blackness of space with a stealth that belied its size. Jack stood behind Tom, watching the radar. "How often do you guys get chased by bounty hunters?" he joked, trying to lighten the mood. "More often than we'd like," Selran answered, joining them in the cockpit. She looked at the radar screen, her expression tense. "They're not giving up. We need to think of something fast." "Let's lead them through the asteroid field of Graxus," Tom suggested. "It could give us the cover we need to lose them." Carl looked apprehensive. "It's risky. The field is dense, and one wrong move could end this journey real quick." "We don't have much choice," Selran interjected. "It's that or let the key fall into their hands." After a brief pause, Carl nodded. "Do it." Tom adjusted their course, and soon the ship was weaving through the massive boulders and spinning asteroids of the Graxus field. Jack held onto a rail, his eyes fixed on the viewport as they dodged the flying debris. The tense silence was broken only by the occasional directive from Tom, guiding them through the narrowest of gaps. The bounty hunters persisted, but their larger ships struggled to navigate the treacherous terrain. "Almost there," Tom announced, a note of relief in his voice as they neared the edge of the asteroid field. He glanced back at Jack, a smirk playing on his lips. "Ever done anything like this before?" Jack couldn't help but return the smirk. "Can't say that I have. I'm beginning to think trading was a bit tame before all this." As they cleared the asteroid field, the radar showed that they had indeed lost their pursuers. Carl let out a deep breath. "Good work, everyone. But let's not celebrate yet. We're not out of the woods." Selran nodded in agreement. "We need to find a safe haven to plan our next move." Jack looked around at his unlikely allies, a mix of admiration and newfound respect in his gaze. "Well, I'm in this with you all the way. Wherever this journey takes us, let's make sure it's worth the risk." Together, they set a course for a remote outpost known for its discretion and security. It was a chance to regroup and strategize, a necessary pause in the relentless chase that their mission had become. The team, forged in the fires of adversity, was now united more than ever, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Chapter 4. The Discovery. The remote outpost was a nondescript speck floating in the shadow of a dormant asteroid, perfectly camouflaged from prying eyes. The Star Whisperer glided into the dock with the stealth that had become its signature. As they disembarked, Jack felt the chill of the outpost's artificial atmosphere creep through his jacket. "Not exactly a warm welcome," he muttered, surveying the dimly lit docking bay. Carl chuckled softly beside him. "Warmth is a luxury in space. Security, however, is not." They were met by a tall, lean man with a sharp gaze, introducing himself as Aaron, the manager of the outpost. "Carl, it's been a while," Aaron said, extending a hand. "I see you've brought a full crew this time." "Needs must," Carl replied, shaking his hand. "This is Jack, and you know Selran. Tom's on the ship, securing our exit plan." Aaron nodded, leading them through a series of bleak corridors lined with pipes and cables. "I've prepared a secure room for your stay. No one will bother you here." Once in the room, Jack and Carl began to unpack the container with the key of Vorden. The artifact looked innocuous, yet Jack could feel a slight vibration as he ran his fingers over its surface, a hum of latent power. "So, what's the next step?" Jack asked, looking up at Carl and Selran. "We need to activate it, but safely," Selran explained. The key's power isn't just about unlocking doors. It's about accessing the threads of time. We can observe potential futures. And you know how to do this? Jack was skeptical. Carl set up a device around the key, a complex framework of wires and holographic projectors. Not exactly, but we have the instructions, passed down through generations. As Carl activated the device, a soft glow emanated from the key, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Holographic images flickered to life, showing distant galaxies, spinning planets, and then a map of star systems with one highlighted in red. That's our target, Selran pointed out. A planet where the key was last used. We might find more answers there. Jack leaned closer, intrigued by the display. And these visions, they're what, exactly? Probabilities? Future certainties? Possible futures, Selran corrected him. Nothing is certain in time travel. Carl interrupted their discussion with a raised hand. We have a problem. The room's door slid open, and Tom rushed in, his expression urgent. We've got company. Not bounty hunters this time. Worse. It's the Galactic Authority. They've traced us here. How long do we have? Carl's voice was calm, but there was an edge to it. Minutes, maybe, Tom replied, pulling up security feeds on a portable screen. They're setting up a blockade. Looks like they mean to take us in. Aaron, who had been quiet until now, stepped forward. I have a back route you can take. It's risky, and it'll take you through some unsavory parts of the outpost, but it's better than a cell. Carl looked at each face in the room, gauging their resolve. We split up. Jack, you and Tom take the key to the ship. Selran, Aaron, and I will distract them, lead them on a false trail. Jack nodded, understanding the gravity of the plan. Got it. Be careful, all of you. With a quick, efficient move, they concealed the key in a nondescript case. Tom led the way, navigating through lesser-known passages and service ducts. The outpost was a maze, but Tom moved with confidence, his knowledge of its secrets clear. As they sneaked through the shadows, Jack felt the weight of their mission. The key, a mere object in his hand, held the potential to change everything. And as they slipped past guards and dodged security measures, Jack realized how much he had already changed, pulled into a galaxy-spanning adventure that was far from over. Chapter 5. Close Encounters. Once clear of the outpost's maze-like corridors, Jack and Tom found themselves aboard the Star Whisperer, the cold metal of the ship a stark contrast to the heated pursuit they had just evaded. Jack stashed the key securely in a hidden compartment under the floor panel in the cockpit. Tom slid into the pilot's seat, his hands moving deftly over the controls. "We're not out of this yet," he said, glancing at Jack, who had taken the co-pilot's seat. "We need a plan to get past the Galactic Authority's blockade." Jack nodded, his mind racing. "Can we jump to hyperspace from here? Or is the blockade too close?" Tom shook his head. "Too risky. They've got dampening fields up. We'd be sitting ducks. We need to think stealth, not speed." As they strategized, the communication panel beeped. An incoming message. Jack tapped the screen, and Carl's face appeared. "We've managed a diversion, but it won't hold them for long. How are things on your end?" "We're trying to figure out a way past the blockade," Jack replied, updating Carl on their situation. "Listen, there's an old smuggler's route. Not on any charts. It's risky, full of gravitational anomalies and debris, but it might just get you out without detection," Carl suggested. Tom perked up at this. "I know those routes. They're dicey, but with the Whisperer's upgraded NAV systems, we might stand a chance. Send us the coordinates." "Coordinates coming through now," Carl said as data streamed onto their navigation screen. "Be careful. I'll meet you on the other side." "Got it," Tom responded, setting the course. "Hang on, it's going to be a bumpy ride." The Star Whisperer eased out of the docking bay, slipping into the shadow of the asteroid that housed the outpost. They drifted slowly, minimizing their energy signatures, as Tom navigated towards the smuggler's route. As they entered the route, the space around them twisted with the gravitational anomalies Carl had warned about. The ship rocked violently, throwing Jack against his harness. "Doing okay there, Jack?" Tom asked, his focus unyielding as he maneuvered through the hazardous path. "Just another day at the office," Jack joked weakly, his knuckles white from gripping the armrest. The route proved its worth. The sensors showed that they were effectively invisible to the blockade's scanners. Tom's expert piloting got them through the worst of it, and soon they emerged into open space, the blockade now a distant concern. "We did it," Jack breathed out, relief washing over him. "Don't thank me yet. We need to rendezvous with Carl and make sure everyone is safe," Tom replied, already plotting a course to their next meeting point. As they set their course, Jack's thoughts drifted to Selran and Carl, hoping they had evaded capture. His contemplation was interrupted by a soft chime from the console, a signal from Carl indicating they were safe and on their way. "Seems like we're all going to make it after all," Tom said with a slight smile. "Yeah," Jack agreed, allowing himself a moment to relax. "Tom, what do you think we'll find when we use this key? I mean, what are we really hoping to achieve?" Tom considered the question, his eyes not leaving the stars ahead. "Answers, I suppose. Maybe a way to fix some of the mess out there. Or maybe just more questions." Jack nodded, feeling the weight of their unknown future. "Well, for better or worse, we're in this together." As the Star Whisperer continued its journey through the stars, Jack felt a new sense of camaraderie and purpose. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together, each member of this unlikely crew bonded by the mission and the mysteries of the Key of Vorden. Chapter 6. Betrayal. The rendezvous point was a desolate moon circling a gas giant in a forgotten system, far from the usual trade routes. The atmosphere was tense as the Star Whisperer approached the coordinates Carl had sent. The dim light of the distant sun barely reached this corner of space, casting long shadows across the moon's cratered surface. Jack watched from the cockpit as another ship gradually came into view. It was Carl's ship, the Silent Voyager. As they docked, the heavy clank of metal on metal echoed through the Whisperer, signaling the two crews were now physically connected. "Let's hope everyone's made it back in one piece," Jack muttered as he and Tom prepared to board the Voyager. They were met at the airlock by Carl, who looked weary but relieved. "Good to see you both," he said, clasping hands with them. "We've got a problem, though." "What kind of problem?" Tom asked, his brow furrowing. "It's Selran," Carl said, his voice low. "She disappeared shortly after we split up. I tracked her to a station on the edge of the sector, but she was gone by the time I got there." Jack's heart sank. "You think she's turned on us?" Carl shook his head slowly. "I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But we found traces of communication with someone unknown. We need to figure out what's going on." The three men moved to the Voyager's command center, where Aaron was waiting with datapads full of intercepted messages and logs. Here, Aaron pointed to a series of encrypted messages. "These were sent from Selran's communicator. We've been trying to crack them, but no luck yet." "Let me try," Jack said, taking a seat. He had a knack for decryption, a useful skill he'd honed over years of trading in information. As Jack worked, the others discussed their next steps. "If Selran has gone rogue, it could compromise everything," Tom noted, his voice tinged with disbelief. "She knew everything about our plans." "It's not just our plans," Carl added grimly. "She knows how to use the key. If she's planning to sell it, or worse." "We don't know that for sure," Jack interrupted, not wanting to believe that Selran could betray them. Just then, the decryption software chimed. A message was unlocked. Jack quickly scanned the contents, his eyes widening. "It's not what we thought," he said, turning the screen so the others could see. The message was a plea for help. Selran had gone after a lead on another piece of ancient technology, one that could neutralize the key's power. She believed it was necessary to ensure the key couldn't be misused. "There's more," Jack scrolled down. "She says she's being followed by someone dangerous, someone with connections to the Galactic Authority. We need to find her, and fast," Carl decided, his previous doubts clearing. "Jack, Tom, you're with me. Aaron, keep trying to trace her last known locations. We're going to need all the help we can get." The team quickly geared up for a rescue mission. As they prepared to depart, the weight of their task settled on Jack's shoulders. This was no longer just about safeguarding a powerful artifact. It was about saving one of their own. Their ship disengaged from the Voyager, setting a course based on the last coordinates Selran had sent. As they sped through space, the stars blurred past, a stark reminder of the vastness of their challenge. "Whatever happens, we're in this together," Carl said, meeting Jack's gaze in the dim light of the cockpit. "We're going to bring her back." Jack nodded, feeling the bond between them strengthen. They were more than a crew now. They were comrades, united by a common cause. The journey ahead might be fraught with danger, but together they faced it head-on, ready to confront whatever lay in the depths of space to bring their friend home. Chapter 7. The Decision. The interior of the Star Whisperer was silent except for the hum of the engines and the occasional beep from the navigation console. Jack, Carl, and Tom were huddled around a holographic display showing the sector where Selran was last seen. "We're close," Carl stated, his finger tracing a path through the star systems on the display. "This is where her trail goes cold. If we don't find her here, we may never find her." Tom adjusted the zoom on the map, focusing on a small, barely noticeable blip. "There's a hidden base in this asteroid belt. Not much is known about it, but it could be where Selran was heading." Jack leaned in, analyzing the strategic location. "If she's there, getting her out won't be easy. This area is notorious for pirate activity and uncharted gravitational anomalies." "We have no choice," Carl replied firmly. "We have to try." As they approached the coordinates, the Whisperer's sensors picked up faint signals of a ship's recent presence. Tom piloted them closer, weaving through the asteroid field with precision. "Strap in," Tom warned as they neared a particularly dense cluster of asteroids. The ship shuddered as small fragments glanced off the hull. Suddenly, the comms crackled to life. "This is Selran. If you're receiving this, I need your help." Her voice was strained, urgent. Carl responded immediately. "Selran, it's Carl. We're here to get you. Where are you?" A brief pause followed, then Selran's voice came again. "I'm on a station, hidden inside the largest asteroid. Be careful, it's heavily guarded." The team exchanged glances, resolve hardening in their eyes. "Hold on, Selran. We're coming," Jack said into the comms. Navigating through the asteroid field, Tom expertly maneuvered the Whisperer towards the large asteroid. The station was cleverly camouflaged against its rocky surface, making it nearly invisible to the unaided eye. They docked in silence, the tension palpable. The three men armed themselves and prepared to board the station. The airlock hissed as it opened, revealing a dimly lit corridor. Stealthily, they moved forward, alert to any movement. As they rounded a corner, they were suddenly faced with a pair of armed guards. Without hesitation, Carl and Tom neutralized the threat, their actions swift and silent. They found Selran in a locked chamber, bruised but unbroken. "I knew you'd come," she said, her voice filled with relief as Carl unlocked her restraints. "We need to move fast," Jack urged, checking the corridor for more guards. With Selran safely with them, they retraced their steps back to the ship. Once aboard, Tom wasted no time pulling away from the asteroid, setting a course back to the rendezvous point with Erin. As they traveled back, Selran shared her findings. "The device I was after can nullify the key's effects permanently. It's on a secure planet under heavy guard." The revelation hung heavy in the air. "So what's our play?" Jack asked, the weight of their choices looming large. Carl looked at each of them, a serious expression on his face. "We decide together. This mission started with us. It ends with us. We can destroy the key, use the device to render it harmless, or keep it hidden. But we need to make a choice." The group deliberated, weighing the consequences of each action. "If we destroy the key, we risk losing a powerful tool that could benefit humanity," Tom pointed out. "But if it falls into the wrong hands, it could mean disaster," Selran countered. Jack thought for a moment before speaking. "Maybe the best way to protect the galaxy isn't holding on to power, but ensuring it can't be abused. Using the device to neutralize the key might be our best bet." There was a collective nod of agreement from the group. It was decided. They would secure the device and use it to neutralize the key. The decision made, a new sense of purpose filled the ship. Together, they had faced unimaginable dangers, and now stood on the brink of a decision that could change the galaxy. Whatever the outcome, they were ready to face it, united by their shared journey and the bonds forged along the way. Chapter 8. A New Dawn. The Star Whisperer glided through space towards the heavily guarded planet where the device to neutralize the key of Vorden was held. The tension aboard was palpable, as each member of the crew understood the magnitude of their final task. Jack stood beside Carl at the helm, watching the star-streaked darkness ahead. "Once we're in, there's no turning back," Carl stated, his voice steady but heavy with the unspoken risks. "Then let's make sure we do this right," Jack replied, checking the readiness of their equipment one last time. Tom and Selran joined them, each carrying their part of the plan with a solemnity born of the battles they had faced together. "Are we all set?" Tom asked, looking between his companions. Selran nodded, her eyes fixed on the forward screen. "I've laid out the infiltration routes. We'll need to be quick and quiet to get to the device." The planet loomed large as they approached, its surface dotted with security installations. The Whisperer landed discreetly in a remote area, masked by the rugged terrain. "From here, we go on foot," Selran directed, leading the way out of the ship. The terrain was rough, undulating under a sky tinged with the light of the planet's twin suns. They moved with precision, avoiding patrols and using the natural cover to approach the facility where the device was held. The final barrier was a high-energy security gate that barred their entry. "Leave this to me," Jack said, pulling out a compact device designed to hack and disable electronic locks. Within minutes, the gate powered down, and they slipped inside. The facility was stark, the air cold with artificial chill. They navigated its corridors, guided by Selran's map. Eventually, they reached the chamber holding the device, a small, orb-like object, pulsating with a gentle light. "This is it," Selran whispered. "Once we activate this, the key will be rendered useless." Carl looked around at his team, pride and resolve in his gaze. "This is the moment everything changes. Are we ready?" Without hesitation, each member voiced their readiness. Jack placed the device on a console, interfacing it with the key remotely. The orb began to glow brighter, its light swelling. Then, with a sudden rush, The light exploded outward in a silent flash that enveloped everything. When it cleared, the device was dark, its energy spent. "It's done," Jack said, a mix of relief and disbelief in his voice. "The key is neutralized." The team shared a look of triumph, their mission completed. But their celebration was cut short by the sound of alarms. The facility was on alert, their presence discovered. "Time to go," Tom shouted, leading the way back. They ran through the corridors, dodging security forces as they made their way to the Whisperer. They blasted off just as the facility's defenses came online, the ship shuddering under the strain but holding together. Safe in space, Carl turned to the group, his expression one of solemn satisfaction. "What we've done today, it's going to change things. We've prevented a power too great from falling into the wrong hands. And we did it together," Tom added, clapping Jack on the back. Selran smiled, her earlier burdens lifted. "Yes, together. And now, we part ways." "Not just yet," Carl said, smiling. "I think we deserve a break. Let's find a peaceful corner of the galaxy to lay low for a while." The group agreed, and the Star Whisperer set a course for a distant, tranquil system. As they traveled, each member of the crew took a moment to reflect on their journey, the challenges they had faced, and the bond they had forged. Jack looked out at the stars, a sense of peace settling over him. "A new dawn indeed," he murmured, turning to join his friends. Together they had faced unimaginable odds and emerged victorious, not just as a team, but as a family. The galaxy was vast, and their adventures were far from over, but for now they looked forward to a well-earned rest under new skies.